Monday, July 15, 2017. I'm Michael Smith. Today I want to finish off my discussion on belief systems. I've been leading up to it for quite a while for a big reason, because not only is it strong in my belief system, but belief systems are the root to everything you're probably experiencing. So I finished off with mine talking about the fairies and the gnomes, and it wasn't until I started planting vegetation in my house. And up until this point, I was still pretty confident that it was my individual self that was creating all this. Like it was me that was creating everything I saw around me, from my beliefs to whether it be in God, whether it be in angels, whether it be in spirits or past loved ones, or whatever the case was. And it wasn't until I started planting my vegetation and I started tending to it and caring for it that I started realizing to myself that there truly was an energy being distributed in one form or another through symbol. Symbols were non-stop on my mind. It was the key to my opening up of my mind. But when I started realizing that everything is coming in the form of symbol, it made sense at the time of the vegetation moment. And my best way to describe or translate what it is I feel is happening in my world, at least, I don't know, you have to determine for your own self, is that everything, like I talk about, has consciousness. And it's always emitting or vibrating. And that's another part of quantum physics you kind of have to understand, is that everything you see is a reflection of light being entered into your eyeball. And that reflection of light is coming from a frequency being emitted that's vibrating so fast and so rapidly that it comes off as material, as mass, as matter. But in reality, it's just a vibrating frequency, and everything is vibrating at its own frequency. Like literally, like this new age speak isn't foreign language. It's literally what is happening is everything that you see through your eyes down to the color are all vibrating frequencies within your realm. So all the brain is doing is picking up on these frequencies, and it's translating in visual imagery what you perceive this energy to be. Now when I say you, this is kind of like a mix of the individual you that is right now, this life, this moment, this time. But it's also a point of view that is the all-knowing you, the version of you that has lived many lifetimes, the version of you that is in everything, the spirit of everything. Because in my personal opinion, we've evolved from potentially plant matter to animal life to real life to this point of having a conscious mind to the degree that we have it in. And maybe there is always this cycle repeating itself, and there's always this cycle happening in some form or another, and we're just privileged enough to be on that platform right now. You being able to sit here, watch this video, me being able to talk about it, all of this act is a self-thinking being that can think upon itself, that was at once a single-celled molecule that collected and collaborated with other molecules that created its own being of a self, to then think upon itself. Like from every aspect of the body, from the liver to the heart to the stomach to the skin to all these different aspects of the individual that have to get even bridged together, or like a Power Ranger morphed together in order to create this one living being. And not only did we create this living being, molecules, that is, we are this being that can now think upon ourselves and everything that we exist in. So how can anything so on or off or binary be able to do this? And the only explanation in my mind is that we are all conscious. We're all, every single aspect of what we see through our eyes is some form of consciousness. Now, is it our level of consciousness that we carry? No, probably not, but it is definitely vibrating at a frequency that we are able to translate, and our brain will translate that frequency to an image. And that image comes across as either a demon or an angel or a fairy or a gnome or a god or gods. There's too many levels because there's too many things. And that's been my belief system, is that, you know, I saw a video on Joe Rogan with Leanne Remy talking about Scientology and how they discuss the human body having trillions of spirits surrounding it. And when I thought about it, I'm like, Scientology is referring it to this way, but it made complete and total sense when I realized that it's referring to molecules or atoms or we have 100 trillion atoms, or molecules I should say, within the human body. It's guesstimated between 70 to 120 trillion that connect and collect and make up the whole, which is the human body. So these molecules, in essence, each have an individual consciousness, and they each connect and collect and communicate with each other without vocalism, without speaking to one another, but just sensory, just being able to sense. So the main point I wanted to get across in all of this belief system discussion was, you are what you believe. If you believe that God is following you and he's gracing you with his grace, or you believe the demons are after you and they're trying to take you down to hell, whatever the complete opposite spectrum is, that is going to be the life you encounter. And it goes for even your behavior in this world, for how you succeed or how you decide to not to succeed. Every action stems from your own thought or your purity, your essence. And it's up to you to determine to make that step forward for that action. Whether or not you do is another aspect, but it stems from you, the individual. So until that step is made, you're always going to be living in a fog, and you need to make some clarity. So understand that everything you believe is creating your reality to the infinite most extent. And we'll stop with that. Have a great rest of the day. Thank you. Till tomorrow. And it'll be different tomorrow.